everyone. Today's my talk is on basal ganglia. We learn about the objectives. So list the component of the basal ganglia and describe their connection. Then describe the functions of basal ganglia. List the clinical disorders of basal ganglia. Then describe the pathophysiology and clinical features of Parkinsonism and its treatment. Then physiological anatomy it includes components of basal ganglia. So first of all, the basal ganglia are large subcortical masses of gray matter located inside the white matter in the basal part of cerebral hemisphere. And anatomically, the term basal ganglia that includes corpus striatum, claustrum and amygdaloid body. Now functionally the basal ganglia includes substantia nigra, red nucleus, subthalamus and basal nuclei are important in organizing and coordinating motor movements. The major function of the basal nuclei is to decrease the muscle tone and inhibit the unwanted muscular activity. Corpus striatum. So corpus striatum that is situated lateral to the thalamus and topographically it is almost completely divided into caudate nucleus and lentiform nucleus by a band of nerve fiber that is known as internal capsule. So this one is a caudate nucleus, this one is thalamus. So corpus striatum that situated lateral to the thalamus, this one is a thalamus. And topographically corpus striatum that is divided into two parts, caudate nucleus, this one is a caudate nucleus and this one is lentiform nucleus, and that is divided by a band of nerve fibers by internal capsule. This one is a fibers of internal capsule. So this one is a caudate nucleus and there are three parts. This one is a head of caudate nucleus, body of caudate nucleus, and that is a tail of caudate nucleus, and this is a amygdaloid body. However, the antero-inferior ends of these nuclei remain connected by few bands of gray matter across the anterior limb of internal capsule. This bands gives it a striated appearance, so its name is corpus striatum. The lentiform nucleus consists of a two parts, darker lateral part which is putamen and medial part that is a paler, and that is known as globus pallidus. Phylogenetically, the corpus striatum forms the two distinct functional units, paleostriatum and neostriatum. The globus pallidus that is relatively ancient and termed paleostriatum or pallidum, and the caudate nucleus and putamen being recent in development together form the neostriatum and striatum. So this one corpus striatum divided into two parts, paleostriatum and neostriatum. Paleostriatum it is also known as globus pallidus, and neostriatum that is divided into putamen and caudate nucleus. Now globus pallidus and putamen together forms lentiform nucleus. Now caudate nucleus. So caudate nucleus that is a large coma shaped mass of gray matter which surrounds the thalamus and is itself surrounded by lateral ventricle. And the whole length of its convexity projects into cavity of lateral ventricle. So this one is a coma shaped structure. So this one is a head shaped nucleus, head of caudate nucleus, and this is a internal capsule, green color, that is a genu of, this one is a genu of, this one is a anterior limb of internal capsule, and this one is a posterior limb of internal capsule, and here that is a thalamus. So this is a head of caudate nucleus, then this is a tail of caudate nucleus, and this one is a putamen, and this one is a globus pallidus, collectively known as lentiform nucleus, and this one is a external capsule. Okay, and this one is a lateral and medial medullary lamina. This one is a claustrum. Okay, its rounded anterior part in front of interventricular foramen is called its head. The head gradually and imperceptibly tapers caudally into the body and then into tail, which merges at its anterior extremity with an almond-shaped mass of grey matter known as amygdaloid body. So this one is a amygdaloid body. So this is a caudate nucleus, this is a thalamus, and this is a anterior hypothalamic nuclei, this is a anterior perforated substance, and this is a septal area, and this one is a stria terminalis. Then about the lentiform nucleus. The lentiform nucleus is a large lens-shaped biconvex mass of the grey matter beneath the insula, forming the lateral boundary of the internal capsule. So this one is a lentiform nucleus. In the horizontal section of the cerebrum, it appears a wedge shaped with broad convex base directed laterally. It is divided into two parts by a vertical plate of the white matter, means external medullary lamina, and outer darker part, that is a putamen, and inner lighter part, that is a globus pallidus. The larger lateral part, the putamen, consists of densely packed small cells and is structurally similar to caudate nucleus. The globus pallidus, that is a smaller medial part and consists of large motor cells. So this is a globus pallidus, and it is also known as palladium as it appears pale in section. Pallid means pale in color. The globus pallidus that is further subdivided by an internal medullary lamina of white matter into outer and inner segments. Then about the claustrum. Claustrum is a thin saucer-shaped mass of grey matter situated between the putamen and insula, and its significance is not known. Amygdaloid body. So amygdaloid body is a almond-shaped mass of grey matter in the temporal lobe lying anterosuperior to the tip of the inferior horn of lateral ventricle. It is situated deep to the uncus, which serves as a surface landmark for its location. The fibers arising from the amygdaloid body form the stria terminalis, which follow the inner curve of the caudate nucleus and terminate into septal area, anterior perforated substance, and anterior hypothalamic nuclei. So fibers arising from the amygdaloid body that form the stria terminalis. This one is a stria terminalis, and which follow the inner curve of the caudate nucleus and terminate into septal area, anterior perforated substance, and anterior hypothalamic nuclei. The stria terminalis is the main efferent tract of the amygdaloid body. Developmentally, it is related to the basal nuclei, but functionally it is included in the limbic system and therefore shares its function. Substantia nigra. It is a crescentric mass of nerve cells containing melanin, hence it is blackish in color. It lies between the crus cerebri and tegmentum of midbrain. So this one is a substantia nigra, pars compacta and pars reticulata, and it lies between the crus cerebri and tegmentum of midbrain. Now we discuss about the connection of basal ganglia. So basal ganglia includes corpus striatum, substantia nigra, subthalamic nucleus of Lewis. So these are the afferent connection and these are the efferent connection. So corpus striatum. So afferent connection from thalamic nuclei to caudate nucleus and putamen. Then from cerebral cortex to caudate nucleus and putamen. And from substantia nigra to putamen, subthalamic nucleus to globus pallidus, and efferent connection of corpus striatum. So efferent connection to thalamic nuclei, subthalamic nucleus, red nucleus, substantia nigra, hypothalamus and reticular formation. Most of the fibers live from the globus pallidus. Then afferent connection from the substantia nigra are from putamen, frontal lobe of the cerebral cortex, superior colliculus, mammillary body of hypothalamus, medial and lateral lemniscus and red nucleus, and efferent connection to putamen. Then subthalamic nucleus of Lewis from globus pallidus, afferent connection from globus pallidus and efferent connection to globus pallidus and red nucleus. So connection of corpus striatum, intrastriatal, arising and ending within it. So from the putamen to globus pallidus, then from caudate nucleus to putamen, and from lateral to the medial part of globus pallidus. So first of all about the afferent connection. So arise elsewhere but end in the corpus striatum. So first is thalamostriatate. From thalamus to caudate nucleus and globus pallidus. So from thalamus to caudate nucleus and to the globus pallidus, and from the body of Lewis to globus pallidus, and from the red nucleus, this one is a red nucleus, to globus pallidus, and from putamen and caudate nucleus that receives fibers from the cerebral cortex. Area 4, 4S, 6, 8S and 2S. And these fibers are relayed to globus pallidus, from where the fibers are further projected into the reticular formation. So in this figure, these are the connection of corpus striatum, and red color that indicates efferent and black color that indicates afferent, and red dotted that indicates intrastriatal. Then efferent connection, striofugal fibers. All arise from the globus pallidus and end outside. Striothalamic, from globus pallidus to lateral nucleus of thalamus. Then subthalamic, or Ansa lenticularis from globus pallidus to red nucleus and other motor nuclei of the midbrain and hindbrain. Then striocortical. A few fibers may go to cerebral cortex. Then commissural fibers from globus pallidus of one side to that of opposite side. From the above, it is clear that the corpus striatum communicates directly or indirectly with the cerebral cortex, thalamus, hypothalamus and cerebellum. Then midbrain, pons and spinal cord through extrapyramidal tract. In other words, it guides and controls the activity of almost all the important part of nervous system, both somatic and autonomic. Caudate nucleus and putamen that acts as a receiving center, whereas globus pallidus that acts as a discharging center of basal ganglia. Then the connection of substantia nigra. So afferent connection from cerebral cortex, from caudate nucleus and putamen and from subthalamic nucleus, and efferent connection to corpus striatum, to thalamus and to red nucleus via globus pallidus. So these are the figure of the connection of substantia nigra. Then body of Lewis or corpus Lewisi or subthalamic nucleus. It lies lateral and ventral to the red nucleus and dorsal to the substantia nigra, and it is quite distinct from the hypothalamic nuclei. It is connected with the red nucleus, substantia nigra, globus pallidus and probably others. Functionally, it is believed to be a part of the extrapyramidal system. The subthalamic nucleus sends excitatory glutaminergic relay to the globus pallidus. Now there are a certain neuronal circuits that are present in the basal ganglia or another structures. So now we will discuss about the neuronal circuits. The anatomical connection between the basal ganglia and other brain elements that provide a motor control are complex that are shown in this figure. So to the left side, that is shown the motor cortex, thalamus and associated brainstem and cerebral circuitry. So this one, motor cortex, thalamus and associated brainstem and cerebellar circuit. Now to the right is the major circuitry of the basal ganglia system, showing the tremendous interconnection among the basal ganglia plus extensive input and output pathway between the other motor region of the brain and basal ganglia. In the next few sections, we concentrate specially on the two major circuits, and that includes putamen circuit and caudate circuit. So in this figure, there is a relation of the basal ganglion circuitry to the corticospinal cerebellar system for the movement control. So first of all, putamen circuit. So this figure shows the principal pathway through the basal ganglia for executing the learned pattern of the movements. So they begin mainly in the premotor and supplementary area of the motor cortex and in the somatosensory area of the sensory cortex. So this one is a primary motor, premotor and supplementary area of the motor cortex and somatosensory area of the sensory cortex. Now next they pass to the putamen. Yes, here first they pass to the putamen mainly by passing the caudate nucleus. They bypass the caudate nucleus. Then to the internal portion of the globus pallidus and next to the ventroanterior and ventrolateral relay nuclei of the thalamus, and they finally return to the cerebral primary motor cortex and to the portion of the premotor and supplementary cerebral areas that are closely associated with the primary motor cortex. So this one is a figure of putamen circuit through the basal ganglia for subconscious execution of the learned pattern of the movement. So this is all about the putamen circuits. So they begin mainly from this area and they goes to putamen and then to the and they bypass the caudate nucleus, then the inner portion of the globus pallidus, and then they reach to the ventroanterior and ventrolateral nucleus of the thalamus, and they finally return back to this area. So the putamen circuit has its input mainly from the parts of the brain adjacent to the primary motor cortex, but not much from the primary motor cortex itself. Then its output do go mainly back to the primary motor cortex or closely associated premotor and supplementary cortex. Functioning in close association with this primary putamen circuit are anticiliary circuit that pass from the putamen through the external globus pallidus, the subthalamus and the substantia nigra, and finally returning to the motor cortex by the way of thalamus. So functions of the basal ganglia in executing pattern of the motor activity, that is the putamen circuits. So one of the principal role of the basal ganglia in motor control is to function in association with the corticospinal system to control the complex pattern of the motor activity. An example is the writing of the letters of the alphabet. When the basal ganglia sustain serious damage, the cortical system of the motor control can no longer provide these patterns. Instead, one's writing becomes crude, as if one were learning how to write for the first time. And other patterns that require the basal ganglia are cutting paper with scissor, hammering nails, then shooting a basketball through a hoop, passing a football, throwing a baseball, the movements of the shoveling dirt, and most aspects of the vocalization, controlled movements of the eyes, and virtually any other of our skilled movements, and most of them performed subconsciously. Now about the caudate circuit. The neural connection between the caudate nucleus and the corticospinal motor control system as shown in the figure are somewhat different from those of the putamen circuit. Part of the reason for this difference is that the caudate nucleus as shown in this figure extends from all the lobes of the cerebrum beginning anteriorly in the frontal lobe and then passing posteriorly through the parietal and occipital lobes and finally curving forward again like letter C into temporal lobe. Furthermore, the caudate nucleus that receives a large amount of its input from the association area of the cerebral cortex overlying the caudate nucleus, mainly area that also integrate the different types of the sensory and motor information into usable thought patterns. So this is a caudate circuit through the basal ganglia for cognitive planning of the sequential and parallel motor patterns to achieve specific conscious goal. Now after the signal pass from the cerebral cortex to caudate nucleus, they are transmitted to the internal globus pallidus and then to the relay nuclei of the ventroanterior and ventrolateral thalamus and finally back to the prefrontal, premotor and supplementary motor areas of cerebral cortex, but with almost none of the returning signals passing directly to the primary motor cortex. So after signal pass from the cerebral cortex to caudate nucleus and Then they are transmitted to the internal globus pallidus and then to the relay nuclei of the ventroanterior and ventrolateral nucleus of the thalamus and finally back to prefrontal, then premotor and supplementary motor area of the cerebral cortex, but with almost none of returning signals passing directly to primary motor cortex. Now instead the returning signals go to the accessory motor regions in the premotor and supplementary motor areas that are concerned with the putting together sequential pattern of the movements lasting 5 or more seconds instead of exciting individual muscle movements. So this one is a coded circuits through the basal ganglia for the cognitive planning of the sequential and parallel motor patterns to achieve the specific conscious goal. A good example of this phenomena would be a person seeing a lion and then responding instantaneously and automatically by turning away from the lion, beginning to run and even attempting to climb a tree. Without the cognitive function, the person might not have to instinctive knowledge without thinking for too long a time to respond quickly and appropriately. So the cognitive control of the motor activity determines subconsciously and within a seconds which pattern of the movement will be used together to achieve a complex goal that might itself last for many seconds. Then the function of the basal ganglia to change the timing and to scale the intensity of the movement. The coded circuit of the basal ganglia system functions mainly with the association area of the cerebral cortex such as the posterior parietal cortex. Presumably the timing and scaling of the movements are the functions of this coded cognitive motor control circuit. Two important capabilities of the brain in controlling the movements are to determine how rapidly the movement is to be performed and control how large the movements will be. For instance, the person may write the letter A slowly or rapidly. Also, he or she may write a small a on piece of paper or large A on a chalkboard. Regardless of the choice, the proportional characteristic of the latter remain nearly the same. Now the lesion of the posterior parietal cortex produce an inability to accurately perceive the objects through the normally functioning sensory mechanism. That condition is known as agnosia. Now in this figure shows how the person with a lesion in the right posterior parietal cortex might try to copy the drawing. In these cases, the patient's ability to copy the left side of the drawing is severely impaired, and also such a person will always try to avoid using his or her left arm, left hand or other portion of his or her left body for the performance of the task or even to wash this side of the body, almost not knowing that these parts of his or her body exist, and that is known as personal neglect syndrome. So in this figure, illustration of the drawing that might be made by a person who has neglect syndrome caused by severe damage in his or her right posterior parietal cortex compared with the actual drawing the patient was requested to copy. Note that the person's ability to copy the left side of the drawing is severely impaired. So this is an actual drawing and this was done by patients. So these are the list of reference book, Guyton, Ganong, then Snell's Clinical Neuroanatomy, and Indu Khurana, G.K. Pal, and Vishram Singh, Textbook of Anatomy, and Chatterjee. Thanks.